Today's episode of the Hustle of the Day podcast features Mark Struczewski, a productivity expert, speaker, online trainer, and podcast host. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hustle of the Day podcast. In this edition, we are talking with Mark Struczewski. Did I get that right, Mark?
You did. Very
awesome.
Good.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, first of all, for coming on and taking the time out of your day. I know you're a very productive man, so it speaks highly to me that you're willing to take some time out of your day to talk about your experience and your life. So why don't we jump into it? You tell me a little bit of your background and your story.
Well, I was born in June 21st, 1965, so I'm 54 years young, and I'm the only child. I think after my parents had me, they said, good Lord, that's all we can handle. And so, I went through what everybody else did. I went to, high school and went to college. And what's interesting is when I was in high school and college, I never liked to do oral reports. I hated oral reports. Now I'm a podcaster, speaker, online trainer. I don't know what happened, but something happened. But everything was going good until I was fired from my job in July of 2005, and I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. And I decided, I'll become an entrepreneur. Yeah, I'll become an entrepreneur. I didn't know what it was, could barely spell it. And because I really felt I had a gift to give the world, I didn't know what the gift was, had no clue. And the first thing I decided to be was a wedding and portrait photographer, which failed. But the one thing that came out of that was my love for public speaking. Now, once I discovered that, I realized really quickly I did not want to speak on photography, but I couldn't figure out what topic I wanted to come up with. So a couple of them I played around with. One was called From Hopeless to Hopeful. To this day, I don't know what I was thinking about that when I came up with that topic. So needless to say, that didn't go anywhere. The other topic I came up with was how to overcome roadblocks in your path to success. When you're not successful, you probably shouldn't teach people how to become successful, just saying. So one day I was on a phone call with one of my coaches, and I was, not having a good day. I was kind of blue, and he goes, what's going on? I said, well, I really like speaking and training, but I don't know what to speak on. He goes, well, why don't you speak on productivity? And I'm like, well, I don't know where that came from. Why would you say that? He goes, well, because you're one of the most productive people I know. You should share that gift with the world. And as the rest, as they say, is history. So I began as a productivity guy. At first, I didn't realize how big the umbrella of productivity was. And so once I did, I decided to narrow down and focus mainly on distractions, although I can talk about time management and all this other stuff. But I mainly teach on distractions because distractions are productivity killers in our day-to-day.
Yeah, and they're rampant too.
Yep.
Distractions are absolutely everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. I just listened, like I mentioned to you before we were recording, listening to your podcast. You are Mr. Productivity. Listening to some of those little things that I could be tweaking, it's like, oh yeah, that would actually make a big difference in my day. So I appreciate that you found something that you could speak on, and you're sharing it with the world. So
am I, because I don't know what I'd be doing now.
So I want to talk about real quick, who was most influential on who you became today?
Well, I graduated high school. I have a 4-year degree from Rochester Institute of Technology. But the best training I have ever had was by a guy by the name of Brendan Burchard. This guy is phenomenal. He has got Experts Academy. He's got Marketing Monthly Business, whatever he calls it, HPX Live. He's written a bunch of best-selling books. He really breaks it down on how to succeed. Like everyone else, we were talking about this before we hit record, that everyone starts at zero.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Robbins, Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, Mark Cuban, Brendan Burchard, we all start at zero. Then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The thing is, we see these people now and go, wow, they're awesome. But we don't pay attention unless you get into their story that they struggled. And so I love Brendan. One day I'm going to meet him. One day I'm going to be on stage with him because this guy is a really down the earth kind of guy. And what I really appreciate with him is everybody's doing these conferences now, but the vulgarity that is so prevalent in our world today from the stage on social media, he is committed to keep his conferences, which I really appreciate about him, is keeping them clean. So there's no swearing at his conferences. I really like that about him. Plus, he's a really nice guy. He really wants everyone to be successful. And he came from Montana. He started with nothing. And now he's one of the, Oprah Winfrey calls him the #1 trainer in the world. I mean, that's pretty big endorsement there. Right. So I eat up everything Brendan does, and the things he teaches, I implement and they work because he's the real deal.
Yeah. So for example, you mentioned, keeping it clean. Gary Vaynerchuk has said on many occasions, he's like, I'd have a lot more followers if I, kept my mouth clean, but it's not the authentic me. This is how I talk. So yeah, I'm going to be authentic,
and I respect him for that. I really do. Now I won't listen to his podcast, although he does have a curse-free YouTube channel.
He does.
He's brilliant. Gary is brilliant. He's probably one of the kinder gentlemen in the entire world, but he says I've left millions of dollars on the table because he likes being who he is. And I respect it. I respect him being that. But what I do is I watch his stuff, or I listen to his older stuff where he doesn't curse as much, because I still get value out of it, because he talks about the same things all over and over again. Matter of fact, I saw one video where he says his goal is to have no followers. He wants people to come, listen, learn, and then leave. He says, people keep listening. I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again, but people keep listening. He says, why don't you go do your stuff instead of keep watching my videos? So he's very open about that. I just wish he didn't swear so much. He loves that F word, man. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure. So you touched on this a little bit, but how is it that you became an entrepreneur? What made you decide when you got fired from that job? What made you say, I'm going to do this now?
That's a good question, because I don't remember what I did. I don't know if I had the thought, like, do you really want to go back to corporate America? Because I'm not built for corporate America. I don't like the chain of command. I don't like the policies and procedures. I don't like you got to climb the ladder to get to the next job or the next job. I didn't like that, because when you're an entrepreneur, you create your own ladder. You can skip steps. You can go to the top. Whatever you want to do, you're more in control. And people think Washington, D.C. is political. My goodness, corporate America is political too. And there's just like, okay, well, this person will get the raise because he came in earlier and stayed late. And it just, to me, I don't remember the specific decision, but I know it didn't take me that long to say, I didn't use the word entrepreneur. I used the word, I want to be a wedding and portrait photographer. I thought I did. But, sometimes, like I tell people, I came stumbling and bumbling into the world of productivity. And if anyone is honest, when you got into whatever you're doing, anyone, you didn't have a revelation, go, I'm going to be this. You probably tried this and you tried that and you tried this. And you know what? This is what I'm aligned with. No one's born knowing what they want to do. I thought I want to be a firefighter because my dad was a firefighter. Thought that's what I wanted to be. Some girls want to, be raised to be a mermaid. Okay. Yeah. They didn't. They're all lawyers, they're chefs, or whatever the case may be. And I just say, just because, I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or 80, if you don't know what you want to do with your life yet, it's okay. If you're still living, there's still time. So that's the best answer I can give you about how I decided to become an entrepreneur.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. And something that I didn't realize, you mentioned it a couple of times, something that we relate to is I have been a wedding photographer and videographer before as part of my entrepreneurship journey, but also decided I love the candid stuff, but man, getting those, getting the formal family pictures, so much stress involved in that. And there's only so much you can control in that aspect. And if something comes out wrong, well, man, your head's on the line. I mean,
that sweet bride that comes in to hire you, she's nowhere to be found on wedding day. And then people used to get mad at me because I'm trying to get the family together. And I'm like, where's Uncle Fred? Well, we don't know. I don't know who Uncle Fred is. I've never met the guy before. And it's just like, I did 2 weddings, which is too many. And is way too stressful. I mean, way too stressful, because you got to be friendly. You got to make it all the shots. And I'm like, no, I discovered really quickly it wasn't for me. Wasn't for me.
Yeah. Well, I did more than a couple, but probably less than a dozen. So I learned quickly too, but definitely respect those who can manage that profession.
Oh, absolutely. Those and those wedding planners and meeting planners, those people, they are so organized. And someday I want to get one of those people as my assistant, when I become like a Gary Vaynerchuk, because there are people who are gifted and they just keep you on schedule. And I need someone like that, because as an entrepreneur, as you know, you have the best intentions and you plan your day, and all of a sudden you'll hear a podcast or watch a video like, oh, I should implement that. And so you create your schedule for the rest of the day to implement this one strategy. And, I'm still moving. I'm still being productive. It's just that, it's just like, oh, squirrel. But not so much, because I'm listening to like an idea that could be really impact my business. Now, I don't know how much it's going to impact my business until I do it. But that's the problem entrepreneurs do. We always want to be working, implementing, and having action.
Absolutely. So would you, this may lead to, we may have already led to this answer, but what has been your biggest failure in the entrepreneurship journey, and what did you learn from it?
I created my first course earlier in 2019, and I thought that because Mark Struczewski, also known as Mr. Productivity, created the course, the world would come running and knocking people over like a Black Friday sale. They didn't. Because even though I went to courses and got training, you have to do a pre-launch, you have to do a pre-launch, you have to build up hype. I was like, what are these people like Brendan Burchard and Jeff Walker? They don't know anything. I'm different. No, I made one sale. Now, I had 4 people. I did this part right. I did have 4 people go through the course. They gave it rave reviews. They said, it's awesome. Your energy is infectious. They learned so much. But the problem is I didn't do a good pre-launch. I didn't do a good launch. I just literally rolled it out and expected the world to go, oh, it's here, and run. It didn't happen. So that's a mistake I learned. Now I realize that I'm not a new Walmart opening up, that I need to launch. That's why all these people are successful. Every time Brendan rolls out a new product, he makes $2-3 million of sales. From what I heard. I don't know. I haven't seen the numbers myself, but that's because he takes the time to properly roll it out. So the biggest mistake I made is when I rolled out my course, I did not listen to the experts who were very successful, and I just did my own thing, and I suffered because of it.
Okay. So now you've learned from that, and the next time you launch a course, you're going to go through the pre-launch.
Yes.
Okay. When can we expect a new course from you?
Well, I really slowly put it on my website, so you can actually go to my website right now. I don't know when it's going to be released, and you can, but I'm not promoting it right now. I just, because I listened to a Brendan episode, and he said, look, if you got something to sell, put it on your website. Even if no one buys it, at least it's out there. But what I'm doing is I'm reevaluating, because it's called the Basics of Productivity. And it's a 2-hour course, but I'm thinking, you know what? I want to pick out certain elements of this and go really deep, kind of like a productivity 101, 201, 301, like college days. And I really want to go really deep. So I'm in the process of designing this course. My goal is be released no later than February 28th, 2020. That's my goal. So I've got December, January, and February to release it. And the thing is, creating the course is not the deal. It's not the big deal for me. It's the pre-launch and the pre-launch. That's the issue. I've got the content. That's not the issue.
Very cool. Okay. So one that I've gotten a lot of different answers on that I would like to hear your definition of is the word hustle. What does the definition of the word hustle mean to you?
Well, if anyone is an entrepreneur, they hear the word hustle, they see the word hustle, you think of Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, I do not have any desire to hustle like Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone. Okay. To get up 4 o'clock in the morning, to work until 10 o'clock at night, 6-7 days a week. That's not me. Now, if that's what you like to do, mazel tov. If that means I can't be a quadrillionaire or a billionaire, I'm okay with that. I like my downtime. I like time with my wife. I like just like going for my daily runs, just hanging out with my dog or whatever. So I don't want to work that many obscene hours. Hustle for me means doing what you need to do that's going to move the needle, because everyone's busy, but is what you're working on going to move the needle towards your goal? Which we have to stop there. Do you have a goal? I am surprised at the number of people that I have met in my life that if I put a loaded gun to their head, I've never done this, just wanted to disclaim that, and said, tell me your goals, I'm going to pull the trigger, I would be killing a lot of people. I am so shocked at the number of people that go, make it to the weekend, get to the next level in Fortnite. I'm seriously, that's your goal? And so in order for you to determine if an activity is moving the needle towards your goal, you need to have a goal. And so the first step would be have a goal, and you could change your goal, but do the exercise of what do I want in my life? I don't care how old you are. What do you want? Because if you don't have a goal, you don't know whether to go north, south, east, or west. You have no clue. You have no clue because you have no goal. You have no place to aim at. Football players, they know, American football players, because you're probably in an international audience, they need to know which end zones I need to run in. We've all seen the videos on YouTube where the defensive lineman picks up a fumble and runs to his own end zone. So, make sure you're running the right direction. That's what happens when you have a goal.
Yeah. Moving the needle towards that goal, and, having that goal to move it towards that's very good. I appreciate that. So since you are Mr. Productivity, what's one thing someone who's starting a business today should be doing every single day?
Tell your time where to go instead of wondering where it went. You do this by planning. So I personally use Brendan Burchard's High Performance Planner. I've used a lot of planners. It's the best one I've ever used, but you don't have to use this planner. You don't have to use a planner. You can use a legal pad. You just need to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to work 9 hours tomorrow. Okay, I already have 2 coaching clients and an hour set aside for sales calls and a podcast interview. So, okay, that's 4 hours. 4 minus 9 is 5 hours. Okay, what am I going to fit in the other 5 hours? Well, I need to have lunch. That's 30 minutes. I'm going to spend time reading for a couple hours, or for an hour. That's an hour and a half. And you build this day. You build your day. What a lot of people do is they schedule the real appointments, coaching clients, podcast interviews, sales calls, and then the other stuff's not in their schedule. So what happens, they look at their calendar and like, well, there's nothing there. I think I'll just go play Fortnite because there's nothing on the schedule. So tell your time where to go. What do you want to do tomorrow? And you can move things around, but take the time to think about, what can I do? What are the needle moving activities I can do tomorrow? Because if you're not intentional about planning your day, I promise you're more likely to have an unproductive day because you're not going to have a clue what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very good. And you touched on that in one of your podcasts, and it's a great tool. You need to, there's lots of different methods out there, and you can find the one that sticks best with you, but it's all about having those tasks, having those goals, having those things written down. And you even mentioned in your podcast again, the, physically writing it on a piece of paper, not just in your phone. Cause I can speak from my experience. If I put it in my phone, it easily escapes my mind, where if I write it on a piece of paper, it's more tangible to me, and I remember it better. So.
Yeah. So what I do is I plan my day in my planner, and then I convert it to my iPhone, because now I'm using a pen with my own handwriting. I'm spending time thinking about what I want to do. If you just grab your phone and you start reading social media, and it doesn't resonate in your brain. Mm-hmm. So take the exercise. It doesn't take that long. I'm not talking about spending 4 hours planning your day. It shouldn't take you that long, because a lot of, like, my tomorrow's already got some things on the schedule, like interviews and whatnot. So it's already there. So you don't have to plan like your entire 24-hour day. Just have an idea what you want to do with the time that's not already scheduled. Take the few moments to think about it. Even if you work for a corporate world, you got to take the time and go, okay, what do I need to get done tomorrow, before work or after work, on lunch or whatever? Take the time to really think about it, because most people don't. They're in reactive mode all the time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So now you mentioned how you started talking about productivity, but you also mentioned that you were already productive prior to that. Why is productivity so important to you, and where did that productivity mind come from?
I think is the way I was raised. I mean, I was raised in a house. I'm originally from Rochester, New York. And, dinner was every day at 5:00. I came up from school at 3:30. I had to have homework done before dinner. I mean, I was raised in a very structured home. So I think very naturally, like, I don't like clutter. Clutter drives me crazy. My dog will leave her toys all over the house. Drives me insane. Like, pick them up. I don't like clutter. And the thing is, your house doesn't have to be sterile and all pristine and no dust, but I don't like clutter. Clutter here, clutter here. I don't, it drives me nuts. That came from my upbringing. My parents didn't allow clutter. I couldn't come home and just throw my school books on the kitchen table. No, they go in the room. Don't just throw them here. And my, the shoes went by the front door, or you came in the house or near the garage or whatever. And that's where I was raised. So I think very naturally, as I went out my own, I didn't like clutter in my house. People come on my house to, for a night or something like that, game night or something like that. I'm like, hey, throw that in the garbage. Don't leave it on the table. It drives me crazy. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, no, it's a mess. And it's just the way I was raised. So I think that's what gave birth to my productivity.
Okay. Very cool. Now you mentioned, there's all sorts of different facets of productivity that you didn't necessarily understand gain into being a productivity coach and whatnot. But what is there something that excites you more? I know you focus now mostly on the distractions. Is that something that you're more passionate about talking about, or
yes,
is there something else that you? Okay, so
no, I love distractions because we are so distracted. I mean, I know people that are on their phones all the time, and they could bring their phones in the shower, which in the new phones you can, they bring them in the bathrooms. They're always on their phones. And it's like, really? I mean, I get up in the morning, and like, I know a lot of experts will tell you, don't keep your phone in your bedroom. Okay. Don't put it in the other room when you go to bed. And I'm like, I charge my iPhone right next to my head on my nightstand. It's on do not disturb. It's muted. The vibration mode is off, and it's face down. I don't get tempted to check my phone. Now, I'm probably weird. I'm probably an outlier. I get up in the morning. I make my bed. I do my 10 push-ups, and I do a bio break. I read my Bible. I read a devotion. Read some Think and Grow Rich or some other inspirational book. I write my planner. I haven't even looked at the phone's not going, Mark. Use me. I'm like, I'm not tempted by it. So maybe because I've been practicing for so long, because people don't understand how you're not tempted. Your phone's right near your head. I'm like, it just doesn't. I'm the human being here. It's my iPhone. My iPhone's not in charge of me. I'm in charge of it. And if it misbehaves, I just turn it off, okay? Or don't charge it up and it'll die. So we have to realize that we are still the human being. We have to say, okay, technology, I am your master. I'm not going to be on you right now. And if you just ignore it, it's not going to come up. And it's not like people think technology is a drug. And I guess some people do have an addiction. I know some people are addicted to technology, but you gotta practice adulting and say, listen, I can charge my iPhone on my nightstand. I am not going to pick that up. And I don't. Or maybe sometimes I may, in the middle of the night when I do a bio break it up and, okay, I'll charge the phone and I just unplug it. I don't check into social media. I don't open it, email. I've never been tempted that in years. I've been tempted on that stuff. So again, I'm probably weird, Trent.
I'd say outlier may be the better term for that, but yes. That I have heard that from multiple people. Don't look at your phone for the first 30 minutes or the first hour or whatever to start your day, because people are distracted by it. They are tempted by it to be able to check into social media, check the emails. But one thing that you mentioned that a lot of people do recommend is having the notifications off, so you don't instantly become a slave to the phone, because you see that notification and instantly that becomes important. Whereas the phone is controlling you rather than you controlling it. So
now I don't have a problem with notifications. Now I just want to step in here, because a lot of people say turn them all off. I have some notifications turned on, like calendars. I have my calendar alerts on. I have reminders turned on, because some reminders are time sensitive. Some of them just need to be done during the day. I have my credit cards on. So if I'm sitting here with you and a notification comes up on my credit card app, I'm like, oh, I'm not in India right now. That's kind of important. My weather apps, but no social media, no email. But here's the thing, at least on the iPhone, so you Android loving people, can't vouch for this, but you can like have a notification on your iPhone and not have the sound on. You can go in there every app and determine what notification you want on. So if you want to have notifications on your lock screen, but you don't want them to bother you, A, turn the sound off your notification, B, disable vibration mode. So if your phone is muted and face down, nothing's going to happen because you won't hear the vibration and you won't hear the ding. But a lot of people go, oh, I'm not distracted. As soon as you hear that ding or that vibration, your brain is already disengaged from the topic or the project or the task you're working on. You might as well look at the phone at that point. That's why it's really important, disable vibration mode, because bzzz makes a sound and you're going to be distracted.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I was mean more the social media notifications, the email notifications. Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg is not going to come to your house if you disable notifications. I promise you. Because when you go into the app, which you will every day, everything's still going to be there. So
it's true.
You need to be in control.
Very good. Do you plan to expand on other areas of productivity in the future?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know which yet. Like I said, I'm going through Brendan's his training again. When I took his course, he gave you access to download the MP3 files. And 3 days ago, I had this epiphany, like, I could listen to his training while I'm on the run. And so now I'm getting re-inspired because I kind of like fell away from the wayside a little bit, got kind of a little lazy there. And I'm like, so now I'm listening to Brendan every day when I go running or take the dog for a walk. Now I'm getting all jonesed up again. So I encourage your audience, find some audio that you really love. Could be a podcast, an audiobook, training with an MP3 file, whatever. And every time you go for a run, a walk, you're on a plane, listen to it. It'll keep you getting fired up. It doesn't have to be Brendan, although I highly recommend them. It could be anyone that gets you inspired. Don't just be listening. First of all, let me just step back here and say, stop watching and consuming the news, okay? Your news and all that is not going to advance you towards your goals unless you are a political analyst. If you want to be a news anchor, yeah, you have to keep up with what's going on in the news. But for the rest of us mere mortals, stop watching the news. All it makes you do is angry. People go, you don't watch the news? I haven't watched the news in 2 months. I'm like, how do you survive? I'm like, listen, I don't need to know what's going on in Washington or my state capital, okay? Because first of all, it doesn't affect my day-to-day operation. It doesn't matter what the current president does or the leader of your country does. It doesn't affect what you have to do in the next hour, okay? It doesn't. So you need to worry about what you need to do in the next hour. What do you need to do today that's going to move that needle? And so I don't watch the news at all. And I had to train my wife because she go, oh, you're not going to believe it. I don't know. Is my house on fire? Is there satellite going to fall on our house? I don't want to know. And I tell people, oh, did you hear it? Don't want to know. And they're like, you're weird. No, you're weird because you're obsessed with the news. I'm happy. I'm not stressed anymore. And as this is becoming a growing trend that people not checking the news. When I go into Twitter, I go to the search function and all the latest news. Oh, I don't want to see this. I gotta try not to hit that search button because you have to go to the search button to go search for somebody, right? But when you go to the search button, you see the big news story of the day. And I'm like, it's really difficult to go search on Twitter without looking at that top headline, which I don't want to see, but you can't block it, which is really annoying. So,
yeah.
Sorry, I went a little rant there. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So one thing you mentioned also is the running aspect, and the physical fitness, I believe, is very important to maximize your day. In my experience, I used to play a game all the time called Peak Brain Game, and it's a game on your phone, tests your cognitive abilities on different aspects.
I call that Duolingo.
Yeah, Duolingo. Yeah, similar. But I had noticed a direct correlation between the days that I worked out and the days that I didn't. My scores were always better on the days where I was working out and had some sort of physical exercise first thing in the morning.
Well, as of today, I've run 820 days in a row. My streak started August 29, 2017. So I can't say when I didn't run because I can't remember when I didn't run. It's insane. But yeah, I run every day. Now I'm up to 3 miles a day. I'm also actually watching what I'm eating. I'm actually doing something I started 3 days ago I never thought I would do. I'm going vegetarian.
Okay.
And I've been hearing the health benefits of it, and I've read the pros and the cons and all this other stuff. And I said, I'm going to try it. I won't know till I try it, so I'm going to try it. Now, my wife's a carnivore-loving woman, and she goes. First, we had these like clashes. She's like, "Oh, this, you need this." Like, look, I want to do this experiment for my audience, and 3 days in, I'm not dead. So
that's good.
Apparently, it's not going to kill me. But I gave up soda. Just check my phone real quick. I'm not checking Facebook. I promise you, I'm not. Today is November 26th, and as of today, I've gone 73 days since I had anything but water to drink. I just started drinking water because I figured let me do an experiment, and so I drink only water, and I'm like, wow, this is great because when you drink water, your body doesn't have to break it down. Okay, the body goes, oh, water, we know what to do with this. When you have any other beverage, the body's got to break it down. When it doesn't have to break things down, it's got more energy. And so what I've heard is when you don't eat meat, your body doesn't have to work as hard. Now, this is something I'm trying out, so I'm always trying things out, and I never thought I'd be vegetarian. But you know what? I won't know till I try. So I'm trying it, and I said, look, it's not a prison sentence. If I don't like it, I can go back to eat meat. So it's not like it's not carbs in blood or something like that.
Right. So I've been down that road before of not having soda. I grew up basically, some people say they were raised by the TV. I was raised by soda. Like,
what they call it where you're from?
Typically pop.
Yeah, pop. Yeah, you're from the north.
Yeah. Utah.
Yeah. I'm from New York, and we call it pop. Down here, it's like when I first came down here, they said, "What kind of Coke do you want? You want Sprite? You want orange?" I'm like, that's not Coke. So they call everything Coke down here in Texas. So I want a Dr. Pepper Coke. What? That doesn't make sense. So yeah.
Yeah, but I remember when I was 8 years old, my mom had to cut me off and say look, no Coke before noon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've been addicted my whole life for sure. And
oh my goodness.
my longest stretch has been about 6 months without any carbonation, drinking just water, and I'm back on that again. Only a couple weeks into it, but I definitely think it's better for me. I just honestly, I miss the taste. I'm addicted to it. That's just what it is.
Well, here's the thing. I'm trying to get my wife off the chemicals. And I say, first of all, you got to get water you love. So we live in Texas. We have something called Ozarka Mountain Spring Water. We get those 5-gallon bottles delivered to our house. You cannot give up this other drinks unless you have something really good. If you come to my house right now, all I have to offer you is water, literally. So I either drink Ozarka Mountain Spring water or my favorite water, which is really expensive, is Fiji. Those two, you get yourself good water. It's really easy to give up the soda. Now, if I accidentally take a sip of my wife's soda, if we go to a restaurant, I grab her. Oh, it's so sweet. So you can do it if you're really addicted. It may take you longer to get off it, but I promise you, if you could just kick the habit, you will feel great. I don't have the fogginess. I don't get tired anymore. I mean, because my body, the thing is, when you're drinking these other things, these other processed foods, your body has to work so hard to dig through and find out the 2 or 3 molecules of nutrients in there. But when you're eating whole foods, and you're drinking water, your body doesn't have to work so hard, so you have more energy.
All right. So you've been podcasting for quite some time now. What has been your experience in podcasting? What have you gotten out of it? What have you enjoyed and disliked about it?
Back in the 80s, I was a radio DJ. And when I was first became a DJ, I was really disillusioned with the fact that they actually tell you what to say. Unless you're like a popular morning jock or afternoon jock, they tell you what to say. So we used to have these cards, and it says, it's 20 minutes after the hour, Power Hits 98 PXY, Rochester, New York. And this is, Michael Jackson. Tell you exactly what to say. So that's why everyone sounds the same. And they would say, these are the songs you play in this order, and all request weekends are not all request weekends. Well, all happens, you're going to request the most popular song. We just send it out to Trent. That's the only difference. And it really disillusioned. I can't believe that I used to be a radio DJ, but now I'm a podcaster, and I have my own radio station. Now I can't play music legally, but I can talk about anything I want to talk about. So one of the most frustrating things about the podcast, I love being a podcaster. I love helping people, but It's the fact that it's pretty much a one-way conversation unless the audience reached out to you. And I am just as guilty. So when I ask my audience, hey, did you like the podcast? Reach out to me and send me a smoke signal, whatever. I never reach out to the podcast host. So I feel really disingenuous of asking people to reach out to me when I don't even do it myself. So, but I love the fact that I can literally just fire up my Mac, do a podcast, and upload it to the world and talk about anything. So I've had 5 or 6 minute episodes. I've had 1.5 hour episodes. It's just, there's no commercials on my show. I can do whatever I want to do. And I just love it. And I've learned a lot since July 7th, 2017 when I started.
Yeah, that's very cool. And like you mentioned, sometimes it is only a one-way conversation. And in some cases, I think that works out really well where people can just, go about their day, have it in their ear while they're preparing dinner or, whatever the case may be while they're commuting. But at the same time, there is definitely a place for that two-way conversation. And that's where, I've explored ideas with like Instagram Live or Facebook Live or things like that, where people can talk with you, in real time, has that anything that you have planned for in the future with your podcast?
I have done my lives, both Instagram and Facebook lives. Nobody shows up, maybe one person, but it's okay. I don't care if nobody watches my videos. I look at if no one shows up, at least I did it and I got practice. Yeah. I used to, 3-4 months ago, I used to record Instagram Live, and I would take the Instagram Live and I'd put it as part of my episode on my Mark Struczewski podcast, because why not? Because they go away after 24 hours. So I'm always trying to figure out what can I do that's different, that's going to serve my audience. It's always about serving my audience with value. That's always, I don't get on Instagram and say, oh yeah, here I am in the backyard, it's my dog, and just look at the fence. I don't do that. I never watch. Who's watching those videos anyways? Now, if you're Gary Vaynerchuk, he can talk about anything. He can literally just like show a picture of a sunset and he get billions of people sign up because he's Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah. Okay. You and I can't do that. You and I have to lead with value. And the thing is that, social media changes by the minute, it seems like, I got to figure it out. Oh, they changed again. Oh, yeah. I just learned it. And they changed again. It's like Mark Zuckerberg keeps going, as soon as you figure it out, we're going to change it. As soon as you figure it out, we're going to change it. And it's like, all right, is there ever going to be a time where we can just rest? And I don't think we're ever going to be able to rest. So I'm always trying to figure out, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, which is my favorite platform. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm just trying to provide value on YouTube as well. And, one thing I started doing that I learned from Brendan is he's a big fan of creating one piece of content a week. Okay. And so you record a video podcast, you take the audio, you make that your audio podcast, you take the video, you put like little subtitles at the bottom of it, and you put it up on your website, put it on YouTube, you create quote cards and all this other stuff. So I've been doing that, and it makes it a lot easier because now what you're doing is you're creating one piece of content a week and rolling it out, but it takes effort because you got to record the video. And the longest part of it, Trent, is the upload. I mean, I can get like a serious download speeds, but Comcast doesn't care about uploads. I want uploads. I don't play games in my house. I don't need the downloads, but they say the only way to go get faster uploads is to go to the business plan, and my upload speed would go, my price would go from, I think, $61 a month, like $300 a month. I'm like, I'm uploading one video a week. I'm not going to pay, I'm not going to pay $240 more a month just to upload one video faster. I can wait. It takes me 3-4 hours because it's an HD and stuff like that. But, I'm not going to stress over it.
Yeah.
I go for a walk, go for dinner, something, I come back and it's done.
Yeah. So I've got experience in that. At one point, I was a partner at a video production firm, and we did stock video, but it was 4K,
wow.
And this was, several years back. And so upload speeds, I'm very, very familiar with the time and effort it takes to do that. And
when you're watching an upload, it goes even slower. I'm convinced of that. So you might as well just walk away.
Yep. It's like watching a pot of water boil. It goes slower that way.
Yep.
For sure. So what are your plans for the future with your podcast?
Well, I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing now. I do the one video podcast a week. It comes out on Wednesdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays are guest episodes. I got burned out by doing guest interviews. So I was doing 3 a week, 12 a month, and I was just burnt out. So I canceled all my interviews. And then for 6 weeks, I just did solo episodes. And then I started putting guest episodes back. So now what I do is I decided no longer to edit my podcast, which requires a lot of vetting of my guests. Mm-hmm. Because what I do is I do an interview on Monday, and that interview is released on Tuesday. Because I was in a spot where the guests would get their episodes released in 2 or 3 months, and that's not right. I've been on some podcasts. Matter of fact, last week, a couple of podcasts got released, and I did 3.5 months ago. I forgot I did them all. So I decided I want to be different. So the only way I can release an episode the next day is by, not doing any editing. And I've had some people going, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." I'm like, well, if you get the right people, it's not a problem. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't get people that stutter. I don't get people on my show who don't know what they're saying. I get high quality guests. So it's really, at the end, I just do the intro and outro and upload it. That's it. I mean, pretty much. But the guests have been loving it because now they can remember a conversation that happened 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
Really, really helping out. But you can't do that and do heavily editing because you can't, because there's not enough time. So,
absolutely. And we talked a little bit off before recording rather, about your process of editing that, and that's going to be honestly helpful to me. So I appreciate you providing value to me.
Well, you're welcome. And I'm a firm believer of paying it forward. Mm-hmm. And so other people taught me these things. Well, why should I hold on to it? So you wanted to know the information. So I just passed it on to you that someone passed on to me. I have a spirit of learning. I don't think I have everything about productivity figured out, or podcasting, definitely vegetarianism, or running, or anything like that. I'm a student. I'm constantly learning new things, and I'm only 54 years young. I got at least 46 more years on this planet. I'm just getting started.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you've mentioned multiple times, it doesn't matter what age you're at. There's always room for improvement, and there's always something you can be doing. So,
yep, 100%.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I want to not take up too much of your time, but I want to say, first of all, thank you. But I want to give you some time to plug where to find you, and any shout outs that you want to give.
Well, the best place for people to go is to MrProductivity.com. That's Mr. all spelled out. Now you will get redirected to my website, MarkStruczewski.com. You're welcome. When you're there at MrProductivity.com, you can sign up for my free 7-day productivity challenge. Give me 2 minutes a day for a week, and I will teach you strategies on how you can become more productive. You can also find out everything that's new and shiny in my world, my upcoming courses, my coaching. You can find out where I am on social media. The links are all at the bottom of my homepage. I'd love to connect with you. Don't send me like an Ernest Hemingway novel with a bunch of links. Just send me a nice message. I will reply to you. And also you can find out direct links to your favorite player for the Mark Struczewski podcast, which is predominantly about productivity and optimum performance. Although I do have some other guests that have nothing to do with productivity and optimum performance, because it is the Mark Struczewski podcast, and I could do whatever I want on the show.
Yep.
So it's all at MrProductivity.com. Very
cool. Well, I appreciate your time, Mark, and I appreciate all that you've shared with me. And I'm newer to this podcasting journey, so I appreciate again
my pleasure
what you've shared, and then also for taking the time out of your day. You're productive. I want to be productive. It's a worthy goal, and something that I'm glad you're sharing with other people. So,
well, glad I could serve you and your audience today.
Thank you. And for all those that listened, I hope you got something out of it. And I know you did, because I got something out of it. And I want to remind you to get out there and hustle the day. Thanks for listening to the Hustle the Day podcast all the way through. I really appreciate that. I just want to let you know that I help small businesses with their online strategy. So if you or anyone that you know needs help with their online strategy and owns a small business, I'm your guy. Go ahead and connect with me at Trent V. Bray on Instagram or TrentVBray.com.